Daisy discovered something eerie while boarding the plane. The cabin, which should have been packed, was unexpectedly occupied by only her and her daughter. As she watched the luggage being loaded outside, the unease in the mother's heart gradually subsided, knowing that the cart carried their most important belongings. However, beneath the tranquil facade, a horrifying chapter was about to unfold. Her daughter had been silent since boarding. As the plane ascended through the clouds, Daisy gently comforted her daughter, urging her to rest for a while. Time seemed to have been put on pause, but when she opened her eyes again, she discovered that her daughter was no longer by her side. At first, she thought her daughter had merely gone to the restroom. However, after searching the entire cabin, there was no sign of her daughter. Daisy's heart began to fill with unease. She approached a flight attendant to inquire about the situation, only to receive an unbelievable answer. Her daughter had never boarded the plane. Daisy couldn't accept it. She and her daughter had clearly walked into the cabin together, yet now she was being told that she was alone. Returning to her seat, the lonely teddy bear reminded her that things were far from simple. A man nearby jokingly reassured her, saying that even if her daughter had grown wings, she couldn't have flown out of the aircraft at 36,000 feet. Just then, a flight attendant appeared and made an announcement asking passengers to help look out for the missing girl. 10 minutes passed without any news of her daughter, and Daisy's anxiety turned into panic. The crew reassured her that they would notify the captain to conduct a search, and the helpless Daisy had no choice but to trust them. However, what awaited her was a long silence. Other passengers in the cabin also claimed they had never seen the girl, and some even insisted they had never seen a daughter by her side. The appearance of another flight attendant seemed to suggest they were hiding something. As she called away the crew member beside Daisy, Daisy quickly followed, only to learn something even more terrifying. The flight attendant couldn't find any record of the girl's boarding pass. It was simply impossible. Daisy told her she still had the boarding pass and rushed back to the cabin to search for it. But no matter how hard she looked, she couldn't find it. Now, no matter how she explained, the crew only thought she was mentally unwell. Daisy's emotions grew increasingly worse, and she believed her daughter must be in danger. In a panic, she rushed towards the cockpit, but before she could knock on the door, she was grabbed by a detective behind her. Upon learning of Daisy's urgent situation, the detective voluntarily helped her find the captain. Shortly after, the captain understood the situation and asked Daisy if she had any mental illness. Daisy admitted that she did have some, but only simple depression, which shouldn't be enough to cause hallucinations. The purpose of this trip was to bring her recently deceased husband's body home, and his coffin was in the cargo hold. Despite some doubts about Daisy's mental state, the captain still sympathized with the mother. A thorough search of the cabin ensued, with the crew meticulously searching every corner. Passengers grew impatient with the troublesome actions, and Detective Jeff still followed behind to prevent Daisy from doing anything rash. At this point, Daisy stopped in her tracks, feeling that the bearded man seemed familiar. However, when Daisy inquired, the bearded man claimed to know nothing. Half an hour passed without any progress, and the captain was gradually losing patience. Hearing that the search was to be called off, Daisy began to lose control, but the search had indeed disturbed other passengers. Just then, Daisy seemed to remember something and ran swiftly into the cabin, finding the bearded man from earlier. In Daisy's memory, she had clearly seen the bearded man staring at her daughter when they checked into the hotel yesterday. It was very likely that he had done something to her daughter. However, the bearded man claimed to be staying at another hotel and had never seen Daisy at all. To dispel everyone's doubts, he even produced his check-in record from the previous night. Even so, Daisy still couldn't trust him. She felt that it was the bearded man who had taken her daughter away, and at this point, she started yelling at him incessantly.